hypnotize me. He said, hey girl, you're playing with...
Hi everyone, it's XENA here, and I am going to talk to you guys today about songwriting. Now, songwriting is one of my favorite topics because I know a lot of people have questions, but they never really know what to ask. Sometimes it's a little funny, the questions that I get asked. Like sometimes people ask me, do you just hear the music in your head and then is that how you write it? And I'm like, that's really interesting, but no, I don't walk around just hearing music in my head. I'm not hearing voices or anything like that. Literally, it's probably one of the most funny questions I've ever had. So for me, the way I like to go about songwriting is I like to start out kind of just like thinking about something interesting, like if there's something that's been on my mind for a long time, you know, that's usually how I start. Like I'll be, you know, thinking about something that's happening in the world, and I will just start kind of like trying to come up with a story about it. And then usually I kind of like vibe with a concept. So I guess I'll use an example, my song that I wrote called Pretty, which is available on all streaming platforms and on my YouTube channel if you want to watch the music video. I'll talk to you guys a little bit about that songwriting process so that we can kind of like start with something that you can also reference and listen to. So when I started writing Pretty, I kind of had this just like random like lyric in my head, cause I'm pretty, da da. And then in my head, I don't know if I actually like felt any rhythm or anything like that, but like I just kind of had this like lyric in my head. I was like, you know, trying to think of like a hook, you know what I mean? Like if you think about some really great songs that are out there, a lot of the time they have what's called a hook. And in the music industry and in like pop culture, a hook is just that one part of the song. You might call it the chorus, but it's the part of the song that repeats over and over and over again until you can't get it out of your head, and you kind of like get it stuck, and you vibe with it because you're hooked basically. So essentially, that's kind of what I start with. So, cause I'm pretty, da da. If you've heard the song, there's like some space between the words in the chorus. So it's just like some musical space. So the lyrics to the chorus are, because I'm pretty, yeah, that's right, I'm pretty, smiling bright, love my life, ain't got no worry, no strife, cause I'm pretty and witty, looking cute all the time. So like, my concept was just kind of like trying to write something fun and that builds confidence, a little in your face, a little, you know, how you might say overconfident, but like it essentially is just kind of like reaffirming something that you already know. And that's kind of where the whole idea came about. And then I kind of like backtrack. After I get the hook, I backtrack and I say to myself, so what does the verse say that leads me to the bridge or to the hook? Like I start to work backwards once I get a hook, and then I start to think about a verse. And the verse, a lot of the time, again, it's hyping up the hook. It's leading me to the next thing that's going to happen. And it's always in agreement with what's happening in the hook, right? So the first verse in Pretty is, I wake up in the morning and I do my hair, put on a brand new outfit, be like, who that over there? Yeah, I ain't eating breakfast if I gotta go to work. I put that corn up in that milk sandwiches, dollars in that lunch. So the idea is essentially telling a story, right? So now I'm just kind of thinking like, so what would be an easy way to tell a story that would support this hook? So my concept was like, I'm just going to talk about my day. I'm just going to talk about what I do on a regular basis. I woke up like this, if you want to quote Beyonce. But like, that's kind of the concept there, is like, you know, I'm just talking about my regular day and like how good I feel on a regular basis. And what's important to me. What's important to me is going out there, getting my paycheck. If I have to go to work, I'm not eating breakfast. I'm out. I'm not saying don't eat breakfast. Now I'm not saying don't eat, but I'm saying I have my paper on my mind. That's what I think about in the morning. You know what I mean? It's that classic, just HBIC. You know, if you know that terminology, I won't say it all for you. I won't spell it for you, but like, it's that kind of like, I'm that girl. You know what I mean? I'm telling you who I am. And to me, as a songwriter, the stronger your lyric, the more effective you communicate your ideas. So like, I'm always looking for a lyric that's really going to like communicate clearly exactly what I want to say. I'm always looking, there's always like 10 different ways to say something, especially in English, right? But if you the way I choose my lyrics is I look for, I kind of rank different phrases. Like if I'm thinking of a phrase, I could say like, you know, it's like anything you would do if you were writing a poem or something. If you were to say like, I really like baseball versus I really love baseball versus I really adore baseball. You know, like I look for the word that's really going to drive the intention the most effectively. And that's how I pick my lyrics. So that's kind of the vibe that I want to like go with whenever I'm writing. I always think about like what lyric is going to land me exactly where I want to go. And the difference for me, for a lot of my songs, I write both rap and I write just like songs, you know, regular songs that you sing. So the process is pretty much similar. However, rap is unique because when I'm rapping, it's a little bit different than songwriting or writing just like a song that you sing, because you're kind of like going after something. A lot of the time when I write a rap, I'm usually like, it's usually something very, it can be very lighthearted. So a lot of the time I'm going after a punchline. I'm really not going after, deep conceptual, like, you know, thought. I'm trying to make someone laugh when I'm writing a rap. A lot of the time, like I'm looking for that lyric that's going to slap. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like where I take it when I'm writing a rap song. It's very different than like a regular song, where I'm more about communicating emotions and vibes than I am about really like making a lyric stick in your head. But they can be similar at times, but like I definitely feel like rap is sometimes a lot more fun because it's a little bit more playful for me. I get to really like play with words and really like play with my rhyme schemes differently than I would in a song. So yeah, we've talked about the hook and we've talked about the verses. So the other part that you might find when you're writing is, what does my song structure look like? I mean, a lot of the time we get this idea of like a verse and a chorus and maybe a bridge or something in the middle. But like, how do you decide on what this song structure should be? And that is a question that no one, in my opinion, can genuinely answer. Because for me, when I'm writing, it's mostly about being organic. It's about being authentic is the word I want. I love to let the song kind of breathe as I'm writing it. and I don't make big decisions early on because I want the music to kind of like, I want what I'm feeling and what I'm hearing to kind of dictate itself. And that sounds a little bit like, what? I don't understand. Like, what do you mean by that? And I totally get where you might get that impression. But the reason I say that is because music is about, essentially, you're trying to communicate an emotion, right? And emotions are not cut and dry. And that's the beauty of music, is that it's never cut and dry. So for me, I always like to take a step back. Whenever I have a hook or a melody that I really like, or a lyric, you know, whatever it is, like I try to take a step back from it subjectively and look at it as an objective, you know, point of view. Like I wanted to decide what it's going to be. And the way that I kind of do that is I kind of just like write whatever pops into my head. And that doesn't necessarily fit into a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus style, right? Because like there might not be a bridge. It might start with a chorus. It might start with a bridge. It might have a pre-chorus. It might have a tag. It might have so many different elements. It might have a rap verse. It might not. You know, it's really about trusting an instinct, and the way that I develop that muscle of like, you know, knowing or being able to trust my instinct when it comes to song structure is I just I listen to a lot of songs, and like the more you listen to songs, the more you're going to get comfortable with letting songs kind of breathe and become whatever they want to be, because there are no rules. And that is probably the most difficult thing for someone who's not a musician to accept, because like it doesn't make sense, right? But that's the key, is that you're not trying to make sense. You're trying to communicate something, right? And the only reason that it would need to make sense is if it was a fact, right? But it's not a fact. It's an emotion. It's an emotional communication. So to me, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable whenever you're writing, and you have to let yourself kind of like get out of your head, forget whatever it is that you think you're supposed to do, and just let go and let it breathe and be itself. For me, I like to think of all music as being inspired. So like I pray and I'm like, God, what do you want me to write? Like I think of it that way because that's who I am. But for you, it might be something, you know, a little bit more, you know, less spiritual and maybe more of a vibe. Whatever it is for you, do what works for you. But the essential aspect that you need to learn as a songwriter is to trust that instinct, that voice inside of you that tells you, yeah, this is what it should be. Yeah, we only need one verse. No, we want 4 verses. No, we want, you know, you gotta learn how to just trust the art, to let the art. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the gist of it. Now, I know you guys are curious about more details, the layers of songwriting, not just like, how do I write a song, but how do I put music to it? How do I put chords? How do I put rhythms to it? And those are all great questions that we're going to explore next time in the next video next week. So I hope you guys will continue to tune in, subscribe to XENA Films, and I look forward to talking about more music and more about songwriting. Thank you for watching.
He said, hey, are you a Rastafari? The way I move your hip, it hypnotize me. He said, hey girl, you're playing with